So what do? They start getting it out of that system where it could be impacted, and they start moving it outside of there. We can see here what China has said about this. To Al Jazeera, again, going back to that news source, they said that not only could this jeopardize the current stability that we have between Beijing and Washington, so there's been a lot of wars, tariff wars going back and forth lately, and so we've been sort of stabilizing that, but this threatens that. It also threatens Trump's planned trip to Beijing coming up in April. And also it says here that China would take all necessary measures to defend its interest. What necessary measures are these? Or actually, a better question is, what necessary measures have already been put in place that they could activate right now? That's the better question. We're going to come back to that question. But we can see this power struggle that's happening, and it's not about Iran. That's the catalyst that's pushing this forward. We have to understand that rails, financial rails, that's the infrastructure, right? The SWIFT network, the correspondent banks, that's the infrastructure. But if all of that's at risk, what's going to happen? These nations have to find another way. They can't afford a single point of failure. If you're a nation and you need to trade and need supplies, you can't afford a single point of failure. You can't afford to have one nation, one president like Trump just decide to wake up one morning and just cut you off. And so you have to start accelerating to build out a new structure. And again, what if there's already one built out? We're going to come back to that. But what does this routing look like in practice? I'm going to break that down for you. There's a couple options, and there's one that you are probably going to be pretty surprised about. Okay, the hidden cost of the dollar. Now, the dollar, again, the reserve currency of the world, there's a huge benefit to having that reserve currency of the world. The US dollar has been dominant, not just because the United States has the biggest military in the world, not just because we were the greatest industrial nation after World War II, but because of the network, because of the payment rails, because of the settlement systems, the correspondent banks that we have, the SWIFT system, and because right here, it's trusted collateral. The US dollar has been the nation that has the best rules, the best order, the best private property rights. And so it's been the best trusted collateral. But when you continue to weaponize it over and over and over, people get burned over and over and over, they start to trust it less. When Russia saw their bank accounts get seized by the United States, by the West, by NATO, the rest of the world was put on notice that if one of three superpowers with nukes can have their money taken, it can happen to anybody. So once it's weaponized one time, people aren't going to trust it anymore. It's not one of those things where it's like, I don't really know. It's like, okay, I see what can happen. I'm not going to put myself in that same place again. So what happens? Does trade completely stop? Well, we can see that it starts to transfer. So take a look at this chart right here.